What's up everyone, Vu of Vu Films, and I am back with another YouTube debag video for you to watch. And today I want to be talking about the ultimate cinema filmic debag YouTuber handheld filmmaking trash kit for your Sony FX3 and FX30. Links in the description below for you to buy and make me money so I can continue to make these trash YouTube filmmaking tutorial videos for you to watch. With that said, I have an FX30 here, and this is actually not the kit. This is actually what most people would expect me to tell you, that this is the ultimate handheld filmmaking cinema debag kit that you could buy. This is what you should buy. This is what it should look like. And I'm gonna be honest, this kit that I have here is quite amazing. Great quality, great features, and it works as intended. I have the handle, somewhere to mount my monitor, which is an Atomos Ninja V Plus. I think that's what it is. I use it to try ProRes on my FX3, and I've never done that yet, and I don't even know if I ever will. I just kind of have it because it makes me look cool and makes it look like I know what I'm doing. And generally, these handheld kits, that is their immediate benefit. When you show up to a shoot, when you show up in front of clients, it actually makes you look a little bit more legitimate. It makes you look like you know what you're doing. It makes you look like you're professional. It makes you look like you're award-winning. The fact of the matter is, you probably have no idea what the heck you're doing. You're probably gonna just shoot wide open, have your fingers crossed, exposed, 1.7 over, and you're gonna grade with the typical YouTuber LUT, and of course, overuse zoom whoosh transitions, post vertical on IG, and try to sell a master class about how to become a cinematic filmmaker. But the fact of the matter is, I actually don't like doing this when I am in run and gun shoots and filming handheld. I actually do this. Ladies and gentlemen, or gentlemen that feel like they want to be a lady, or ladies that want to feel like they want to be gentlemen, whatever it is you want to call yourself these days, this is my handheld running gun filmmaking rig, my ultimate rig for your Sony FX3 and FX30. And why is this the case? Well, I didn't buy a camera like this to make it as big as an FX9. If I wanted something as big as an FX9, I would have bought an FX9. I got this because it's small. It's tiny. It's what I'm used to handling ever since I was a kid, below the belt. Now, this is what I do. The most run and gun filmmaking I ever do is at weddings, and I do 30 weddings per year. That is more than the amount of corporate and commercial shoots I do per year. And obviously when I do these YouTube trash videos, it's just sitting on a tripod. So this is probably how I film 50% of the wedding day. The other 50% of the day, I am on gimbal. And yes, this is not a completely bare bones FX3, FX30. It does have a cage. The one I use is the Ulanzi Falcam cage for your FX3 and your FX30. It fits both FX3 and FX30. There's no difference between the mounting points and the overall size of the FX3 and FX30. So any FX3 cage will fit with your FX30. The other 50% of the time I'm on gimbal. I just take this and I put it on gimbal just like that. And there you have it. So now my gimbal is ready to go after I turn it on. And to take it back off, it's just a simple clip and it comes right out. So I did buy a separate quick release plate for my DJI RS3. It has the Falcam quick release already built in, and the cage also has the Falcam quick release already built in. It is actually molded onto the cage. You can, mount another quick release plate right here, but I prefer having a built-in quick release directly on the cage, and especially with all the mounting points that this cage is on the FX3, FX30, it mounts in a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots on this camera. And that's the beauty about the FX3 and FX30. If you mount it on like a Sony A7S3, A7, 4, or what have you, a lot of times you only get that one mounting point down here, and eventually over time the cage starts kind of wiggling. It gets loose and you got to tighten it back up. I've never had to tighten this back up at all. It's stuck. And the same goes to when it's mounted on the gimbal. A lot of times when you mount a quick release plate that is just screwed on at the bottom, and you put it onto your gimbal, eventually that quick release plate gets a little bit loose, and then you find yourself being a little bit off balance. You see that your camera is kind of turned a little bit to the side because that quick release plate got loose, and then you got to take it back off, you got to tighten it, put it back on. It's a hassle. So when you have a molded on quick release, you don't have to ever worry about retightening the quick release plate at the bottom of your camera, because the cage is locked in, it's molded to the cage. You get the picture. So then there's a lot of you who are blind and cannot expose using this small screen, or just don't know what you're doing, what have you. I have no problem using the screen on these Sony FX3s and FX30s. I've been filming just using this screen since 2014 when I started doing this camera BS. So over time, I just know what I'm seeing, like the most challenging light situations, so say like backlight or something, I could generally have a good gauge with how I'm exposing based on obviously what it says. If the meter says plus 1.7, plus 2, that's good. That is baseline good. And the next thing I'd observe is how the image actually looks and how I am trying to expose this scene. Am I trying to get a sunset? Am I trying to expose for the sky? Am I trying to expose for the face? Every situation depends. What I love about the Sony FX3 and FX30 is I'm able to load in LUTs. So I load in my LUT already loaded my LUTs, for filming, where you're exposing, 2 stops to the right. And then so I know what the image is going to look like right on this screen. And, I just, based on my experience, based on the fact that I'm not blind, I can see how it's going to look, and I'm good to go. I don't need like a big monitor. And a lot of times there might be a couple situations where it's like super sunny and high noon, and I need that monitor because it's hard for me to see the thing. It's a very rare occasion. And if you're shooting outside in high noon, generally your footage is going to look like grade A trash anyway. That's not really ideal lighting for any footage. So yeah, it's a very rare occasion where I'm in high noon where I cannot see what I'm trying to film. And even so, a quick hand over here like this, and I'm pretty much good to go, and I know what I'm looking at, and I just continue filming. And a lot of you question, you need a handle for like stability and all that stuff. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I have not seen any difference in my stability when I'm holding the, I have like a handle here, a handle up here. I actually feel the most comfortable, the most precise with my composition and my stability when I am keeping my elbows tight and I'm able to hold my camera like this. Just elbows really tight, as if I'm an Indian dude who just jogged outside for 5 seconds and I'm sweating a little bit. I want to keep my arms down and hide my armpits and just try to move my body and not my arms at all to stay stable. That is what I do, and that is called the ethnic pits technique of filmmaking. You could look it up on Google. It exists. It is a real technique that you can learn in film school, which I didn't go to, if you couldn't tell. Other than that, does it make me look not as professional? Yeah, sure it does. It does make me look a little bit basic because I don't have all these rigs. My camera is not, the size of most YouTuber egos, but this is how I do my best. Everyone has a personal preference, but for me to film at my best, this is what it is. And if I show up and the clients are looking at me any kind of way, well, that's their problem and not mine. They hired me based on the deliverables. They hired me based on the portfolio that I showed them. And if this is how I got the results on the portfolio that I showed them, and this is how I'm going to film, and if they don't understand that, they need to go hire somebody else and get some trash video. Another benefit of having just a simple rig like this is people don't get uncomfortable. People tend to not notice you. People will act natural when you're filming them. And yeah, the worst thing for a person who's doing run and gun, documentary shooting, filming events, filming weddings and stuff, and you're trying to film somebody candid, filming them having a conversation with someone, filming them hugging someone, the last thing you want is having a shot where they're hugging someone and they look at you like this, right? Or when they're dancing and then they look at you like this and they get all awkward. You know what I mean? And you know, I even go as far as sometimes I film people like this. I have my screen here and I'm filming someone over here, because for some reason they're thinking I'm filming this way, so they don't really like notice me. They ignore me because they think I'm filming somebody else, but I'm filming them because my screen is like this. I do this because I don't want to make people look awkward, and I don't want people looking at my camera when I'm trying to film something that looks authentic and looks natural. This is why I believe this is the ultimate FX3, FX30 filmmaking rig. And some people say, well, you know, I like to film handheld rig. I like that organic shake, whatever, from my, you know, handle rig, my monitor and all that stuff. The weight helps me with stability, and gimbals are trash. I don't understand why people use gimbal all day. When people use gimbal, they end up overdoing the movements and stuff. Let me just put it this way. All because you're using a gimbal does not mean you have to continuously be moving. You know, as a filmmaker, I feel like I have a good self-control using gimbal, and when I need to use the gimbal, it helps me be able to move the way I want without worrying about too much camera shake at my heart's content. Whenever I feel like it, whenever I need to move, whenever, I don't know, the photographer jumps in front of my camera, I have the ability to move and still continue with the shot without having to like run around, shake. Pretty much have to cut that shot and move on to the next clip. I can move, I could do epic sweeping movements whenever I feel like. But at the same time, if I'm trying to do composed shots, still shots, not moving, I could still do so with the gimbal, no problem. And that is all up to the discretion of the filmmaker. You can use the gimbal to move, or you can use the gimbal just as like a static shot that is composed, you're trying to tell a story, what have you. All because using a gimbal all day does not mean you're moving all day. It just gives you that availability to move at any time, any place. And to be quite honest with you, this whole kit right here, like this, does not feel any more or less lighter than me having my FX3 or FX30 on this gimbal. It really doesn't, you know, feel any heavier or lighter. And then when I do need to take a break, I just kind of like rest the gimbal right here on my hip, on my leg, and I'm good to go. Or even when there's nothing going on, I don't have to keep holding it. I can just put it down like this, no problem. I do it all the time. And so everyone has their own preferences on how they film. I'm not here, you know, trying to trash you if you shoot gimbal a day. I'm not here to trash you if you film on a huge rig handheld all day. And obviously I'm here to support you if you just want to film almost bare bones camera all day, because that is what I enjoy doing. That is where I'm at my best. All because you do things differently than me and I do things differently than you doesn't make me better or worse. You know, at the end of the day, you do what you're comfortable with. Everyone on this planet is different. Everyone on this planet has their own preferences. In my opinion, this is the best way to go. And the only downside is, like I said earlier, it just doesn't look as professional. It doesn't look as rigged out. It doesn't help make your penis feel any bigger. It doesn't help you compensate for all the weaknesses, because it is bare bones and it's either you could film or you can't. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was insightful, and I hope it helped you make a purchase decision. If you're looking for a camera cage, a camera rig for your Sony FX3, FX30, this is the one I recommend. Again, quick release for everything. I actually have my tripods with the same quick release. So I could take this off gimbal, I could put this on my tripod, take it off tripod, put it on gimbal, no problem. Everything is based off of this Falcam quick release, and that's just how I roll. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more trash videography, filmmaking, debag content. Until next time, lighten up.
Oh my god, that's your camera? You need more rig than that. You have no monitor. You have no external battery. It takes too long to change the battery. It's too much trouble, man. You need an all-day battery.
Bro, my run and gun setup needs to be simple, man. Got to mount on and off gimbal?
No, man, you don't need a gimbal. Handheld, it's much more organic and too much trouble to mount. But it takes so long to take off. My rig set up just at fat.
Alright, man, let me see you go from handheld to gimbal with your rig.
Let me show you.
Bro, it's been over an hour. You're taking longer than Panasonic autofocuses.
When you the best, when you award winning, you take as long as you want.